Today on Co-op for Two, a quick spoiler-free review of On Circus Grounds. Are the handwritten notes worth the cost of admission? Let's find out. So today we are reviewing On Circus Grounds, a very well-regarded deluxe cold case game set in the Victorian age. It was kickstarted in 2020, but you can still purchase it. It's still in print. It is quite expensive, about $70 for a deluxe version, which includes a refill kit and some extra epilogue stuff. Maybe you could get it as cheap as $60 if you just get the basic game. It'll take you about 2.5 hours to play through. It took us, I think we played it over the course of 8 hours on YouTube. That's just the way it goes. I would call the difficulty medium, maybe medium hard. I mean, it varies between easier and a little bit harder. Maybe medium's the best word. It is purely an analog experience. You don't need the internet, but you are gonna damage stuff as you play it. So you will not be able to pass it along unless you purchase a refill kit for $6 or so. So I said this is going to be a spoiler-free review, but I do want to give you a little glimpse at the materials because I think the selling point here is partly that this is a deluxe game with props of a level that you don't normally get in these kinds of games. So let's take a look. If you're such a stickler for spoilers, you can use the timestamps to jump ahead. So this just gives you an idea of the kind of things that are in the box. We've got big rolled up maps, some scrolls, old-fashioned tarot cards. You can see everything is aged and feels real. All of the writing on all of the documents here are all handwritten. Everything is written by a different person's handwriting. I mean, it's really quite impressive. We've got all these old-fashioned photographs from the time. We've got a metal locket. We've got this weird envelope of stuff. It's actually a very impressive production. And in terms of, we often talk about cold case games and games by companies like Hunt a Killer, where they're spending money on like tchotchkes, like hats and bags, marketing material stuff. Here, you are paying quite a bit more for these props, but they're props that really convince you that you're traveling back in time to the 1800s and playing in an old world and looking at documents that have aged. And in that sense, for me, the money is much better spent on something like this, and it does enhance the experience. Now, on Circus Grounds as an experience, this is a tricky one for me. There is a really quite an engaging story here. It's a small setting. It's not a world in danger. It's a small human story here. But it is compelling, and you really do get a feel for the time and the place and the people. And it is engaging and a little bit touching by the time you get to the end. And that says a lot for a game. There are some clever puzzles in here. There's quite a bit of cipher stuff in here, people writing in codes, but it's not particularly painful the way such things can be. But if you hate ciphers, I'm not sure this is the right game for you. There were a couple puzzles that I wasn't happy with, some that felt overly convoluted and unreasonable. But some that were quite clever, and everything has a very high production quality, and it does reward serious thought. There are some real mysteries here. It's sort of hard to describe well because it's not your classic cold case where you've got 10 suspects and all of them have a motive and you're trying to find alibis. It's much more of a human level story where there are only one or two people that could be involved, but you've got to really nail down what really happened to get evidence and really understand how to explain this mystery. And I think it will reward you really thinking it over, chewing it over, discussing theories with someone. Best if you play this with another person. I do think that we see this a lot in these sort of deluxe experience games where they're sort of just throwing in tons of different kinds of puzzles just for the to give someone a complete experience of all these different kinds of things. And sometimes that feels like it's kind of been shoved in, like you'd be better off simplifying some of the puzzles, the variety of puzzles, for a more solid experience. Some of them feel a little gimmicky, like they don't really belong in the game. They're just there because some puzzle book figured out here's a different kind of puzzle. The really hard part here is just the cost. I think only you know whether it's worth 60 or 70 bucks for you to have documents that feel more real, more authentic. And I don't think I can answer that for you. I think the experience for me suffered a little bit in terms of high expectations. I came in with high expectations, everyone talking about how amazing it was, and it didn't quite live up to that for me. And I should say, for the $70, you can get this as a deluxe set with a refill kit and a little epilogue. And the epilogue looks like this. I guess it's like $10 extra. And actually, there are some puzzles in here. There's like a newspaper and some extra letters. And it does flesh out the story a little bit. To me, it didn't quite add enough for me. But it's hard to know for you what to recommend. Are you better off paying the minimal amount just to buy the base game? Or should you splurge and get the deluxe kit? I don't know if I can answer that for you. If instead you want to watch our playthrough and start watching it and see if it captures your interest, you might do that. You can watch that on YouTube. I have no relationship, obviously, with this company, so there's that. So yeah, this is a tricky thing. I don't know. I have a little bit of a hard time knowing what to recommend for you. I mean, maybe if you're the kind of person where money is not a big object and you know that these deluxe games really do it for you and you love Victorian age and traveling back in time, then maybe you know this game is for you and just buy the deluxe kit. And if it works, you'll have another couple hours to play with the epilogue stuff. And if you like more modern police procedural, then this probably isn't quite for you. For me, maybe I'd rate it a 7 of 10, maybe an 8 of 10, somewhere in there. All right. I'm very curious to hear what you think of this game if you've played it on your own. Please let me know in the comments, and I'll see you on the next video.